Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Make your property rock and roll with services from G&S Excavating, specializing in white sand, compost, mulch, topsoil, landscape gravel, and steel landscape edging. Turn to the pros who know how to make your project shine with years of experience. The best part is they're locally owned and operated. Choose from a vast selection of mulch and rock from their conveniently located facility at number 3 Valley Road in Lawrenceburg, just off Buffalo Road. Phone 931-279-3841 and get started today.
What really matters during the ball game, we're at that point in the season where some are just beginning, some have already ended, and others are at that point where it's either win or go home. Depending on what your perspective is, it changes everything, doesn't it? In 2 Corinthians 4 and verse 18, we're reminded we don't look at the things that are seen, but at the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal. Keep your focus, keep your perspective on the right things, the things of God, the eternal things. And that message brought to you by your friends at the Leoma Church of Christ.
It's one of our biggest sales of the year, the Storingly Furniture Labor Day Sale. Come shop our 3-acre showroom with Labor Day savings throughout. We have a huge amount of furniture in stock and ready to be delivered, featuring famous name brand furniture from all over the world. And all in-stock outdoor furniture is on sale now. Plus our huge selection of mattresses in stock and ready to go. Plus 0% financing is available and free delivery too. Don't you miss the Storingly Furniture Labor Day Sale.
Bring your outdoor dreams to life at Loretto Nursery and Landscaping. This one-stop shop can help you get your project done from start to finish. Go see for yourself. They have a wide variety of plants, from tropicals to ferns and trees, plus hanging baskets. What they have to offer goes beyond what looks good. They also supply concrete, mulch, compost, and drainage culverts. Don't forget about their on-lot buildings and chicken coops. You think that's all? You can also stop by to fill up your propane tank. Loretto Nursery and Landscaping has you covered. Stop by 409 South Military Street.
Let me tell you about a place that has it all for your home, bedroom, kitchen, lawn, and more. It's a home-owned and home-operated business that's been around for over 70 years, so you know they're doing something right. At Swap and Shop Center in Lawrenceburg, you'll find top name brands for every room of your house, and top brands for the outside too. Looking for appliances, televisions, couches, safes, bedding, mowers, and well, the list goes on. So make the drive today to 824 North Military Avenue in Lawrenceburg and be treated right.
Arctic Air keeps your home or business comfortable. For more than 20 years, we've provided outstanding residential and commercial services through Southern Middle Tennessee. Whether you need assistance with your heat, air conditioning, preventive maintenance, or anything in between, trust our reliable team to get the job done. We'll take the time to figure out your specific needs and recommend what we believe is right and best for your situation.
We've been using Arctic Air for over 15 years now. Their service is great, they're here when we need them, and their prices are competitive. They take the worry out of the heat and air so I don't have to.
Arctic Air. When you need us, we'll be there.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Welcome to X Sports Today. Taylor Plott, Hayden Burks, Michael Marks, and AJ Good here on the show today. And, boys, I mean, you know,
big news.
Big news.
Yeah, man.
Just go ahead and
break the
get
internet
it out there. Just get it out there.
Why can't they just do it on the podcast and just get it over with?
Yeah.
So, like, it's one big news dump. Why couldn't he do it on the podcast?
Yeah.
One big news dump. We're over it, and now we can get into football.
Why didn't they just do it after the Super Bowl 2 years ago when everybody thought they would?
And you know what we're talking about all fair about to come into this is like now you're right. Like, why didn't you do it then? But now that it's happened, this is going to be the thing that's going to be all over social media for like the next week.
Yeah.
And leading into the beginning of college football. So,
and it's not going to take that away from me. I am full on college football. NFL gets its own week the next week. Yeah. We'll worry about that then.
For folks, if anybody's wondering, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged today.
Yeah,
so if you're wondering why your Facebook and Instagram or whatever else is getting blown up about this, that's why.
And I'm just gonna preface it to my wife. If I roll my eyes a lot while you're talking about this tonight, just don't be offended. I'm already over it, and I just read it. And I'm already over it.
I'm going to have multiple friends be like, "Hey, did you see how?" Yes, I did. And it's like, I'm not against Taylor Swift. I don't think I'm a Swiftie. I don't mind her music, but it just
it's bad. In my opinion, it's bad. Like, okay, we know social media when it comes to Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, and you see it, and you're like, okay, well, I'll just get off that and just go about my day. But if you want to go on ESPN, breaking news headlines, there it is.
Fox News right up there.
The fact that SportsCenter tonight's going to open up with Taylor Swift. Like we've all said, none of us have anything against Taylor Swift, but
I don't.
She should not be leading off SportsCenter in any case unless she's like playing a sport.
No, I agree. Well, guys, for me, it's a conspiracy because Alabama just took West Virginia off their schedule in 26 and 27. That's some Crimson Tide, Bama, SEC. The refs are all on their side. Conspiracy to hide the news that the Tide doesn't want to go to Morgantown. Y'all don't want anything to do with Morgantown.
The funny thing was, AJ was going after Taylor before the show started.
And
Taylor was like, when are we having a home game?
It makes me like him and appreciate him even more because he doesn't even know what the future schedules are.
Yeah.
He's like, I am so focused on this year. I didn't even know that we were going to Morgantown next year. They're coming to Tuscaloosa. Now, y'all Tennessee fans, you got us in Charlotte in 28. You can't get out of that.
Well, as long as it goes a little better than 2017 did, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, but I say as long as that first drive's better than the last one.
I swear, I was on a conversation in the other room, and I just walk in, and AJ's like, "What have you done?" I'm like, "What just happened?"
Well, earlier today, I thought you were in the back there with him because he was having a full-blown conversation. I walk in, I'm like, "Where's Mike?" Because I see your stuff, and he's on the FaceTime. I'm like. And I see that I felt bad because I interrupted his FaceTime conversation. And I'm like, I thought you were talking to Mike this whole time.
No, if I was at lunch.
Wow, it's craziness going on. Well, guys, we've had a lot go down sports-wise last couple days. Part of the Browns quarterback room is lighting up a bit. Kenny Pickett goes to the Raiders. They need a backup out there for Geno Smith since Hayden O'Connell's out for next 6 to 8 weeks. So, finally, that gives Shadir's probably going to make the team. Deshaun Watson, we all know, is out at this point. But it does give the Raiders some much-needed depth they need. Even though Geno's been very healthy, fairly healthy throughout his career, but it does give him some of the challenge. It just gives me pleasure that a Pitt guy's backing up a West Virginia guy. I'm not even going to mention that.
I was going to ask you that, but I think it's a good move. Obviously, we've seen Kenny Pickett, in what little time we've seen him in the NFL, and he's struggled in the starting role. But when I think he would be more than well equipped to be a backup quarterback because we've seen Geno and his injury history has been, is probably what's stunted his NFL career to this point. But when we've seen him healthy the past couple of years with Seattle and now getting this chance in Las Vegas, I think it's a great start for him. He gets to work with Pete Carroll, an offensive guru. So I think that the Raiders are actually in a pretty good spot. And I don't think that these couple of bad preseason games from Ashton Genty are going to have any impact on what they're going to do this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like Pickett's he's one of those where I feel like he could be a starter later on down the road, but it just seems like he needs to kind of get – not necessarily mature, but just I feel like his game needs to be kind of rounded a little bit more, if you will. So I do feel like having him back up with Geno, I feel like that's a good combination to have. But I feel like he's got something to give, and I just maybe feel like his game just needs to be just molded just a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, I think you look at Geno Smith and you look at the Raiders, bringing in Kenny Pickett, like you said, Taylor, a guy that's kind of has shown his strength and weaknesses, and that's been a reason for him being a backup. But, you look at where he was in Cleveland, how deep their quarterback room was, and, for the Raiders, knowing that Cleveland is probably going to have to let go of one of those guys in that quarterback room, might as well get a young a younger one in that group and have a backup for Geno because, with the injury to their backup beforehand, you're obviously going to need a backup just in case. So, bringing in Kenny Pickett I thought was a good idea for the Raiders going into the season here.
Yeah. One of the things going with the Browns real quick, because I remember we were talking about this with the post-draft, is like, how, good grief, their quarterback room is enormous. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are they doing with this? And obviously the saying that we've had for several years is what happens to quarterbacks when they go to Cleveland? It's like they kind of go there to die. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm like, you know what, maybe that was a good thing on their part that they had so many quarterbacks in that quarterback room where they can kind of dish out like a Pickett or just some others and be like, we have room to be able to have all these guys, let's see what they look like, and we can kind of narrow it down. So maybe that was a good thing on their part that they got a huge sample size. And I don't know, this is something that kind of came to mind thinking they have a ton of quarterbacks. Obviously, they can't keep them all, but why did they do that?
Oh, and looking at the 5 guys that they had, obviously, before they cut Huntley and before they cut or traded Pickett, I mean, you had 5 quarterbacks that were all pretty different in their play style, and I think it gave them an opportunity to try each of these guys out and what their offensive system they're trying to run this year. And it seems that Gabriel Sanders and Joe Flacco are just what they feel like they need right now. And it's not a bad place to be. You got a mature veteran in Flacco, a guy that I think will be a great instructor to both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And who knows, maybe we can have a good quarterback room in Cleveland. But as of right now, that's not looked like what we're going to get in 2025. But who knows?
Could be in the future.
We haven't played a game yet.
That's true. Speaking of the Browns, they released veteran wide receiver Deontay Johnson. Mecole Hardman got cut by the Packers. As everyone's cutting down the rosters to 53 today. Tommy Cutlets out at the Giants. But good news for the Bengals. They're bringing back their star defensive end Hendrickson. Got a huge pay bump this time.
Yeah, they needed that. I mean, obviously they're trying to work through their contract disputes because they're paying Jamar Chase what he deserves to be paid is the highest paid receiver in the NFL, and Joe Burrow is a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL. But with how these contracts are going, you can't afford to pay too many more guys other than that. And obviously we know Hendrickson, after the seasons he's put up the past 2 or 3 years with the Bengals being one of the very few bright spots on their defense, he deserved to get paid. And obviously they found enough money to pay him for the next couple of years, and I think that this could be a step in the right direction. Obviously they brought in Al Golden from Notre Dame on the defensive side as the play caller, and and really that is all the Bengals are away from making it back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's if they let him go, that was going to be devastating for that franchise because you have your offense there. You have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. You have all of the weapons that you need on that offense. And it's been proven over the past handful of years that they've had this. That is a very potent offense in the NFL and has the capability of not only going deep in the playoffs, but also potentially getting that Super Bowl. Their downside was what are they going to do on defense? And you had to have him on that defensive side and be able to have that leadership, that type of caliber player, and be able to have more defensive weapons, whether you get trades or draft picks or whatnot, but they needed to have him. That was a must.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say this before I even take this. I'm not promoting gambling, but it looks like I look at it as like a poker table where they're raising the hand there, bringing him in once again. Obviously, like you said, defense has been their big question mark. We've seen them make the Super Bowl, and I think it's one of those things where within the next year or two, they're going to start going all in with this group and trying to win a Super Bowl. So I think Cincinnati, for them to make a move, it's getting around the corner, and I think this is, like you said, the right step in the right direction. So.
Yeah, and I think this opens them up to, if they're having a good season, say 7-1 or so early in the season, 6-2, that shows them they can add at the trade deadline, that they can bring in a couple pieces, that they're right there to a Super Bowl team. But it also means if things aren't going as well, then they can kind of start working towards the future.
Yeah, and I really do think that I really don't have a question about their offense. I think we all say that. I feel like their offense, it's going to be what we expect. But that question is just defense. And obviously keeping him on that defense bolsters that potential that you're going to have a good defensive performance. But you might go throughout the year and be like, okay, well, we do need a couple more pieces on defense. And it could be just like what you said, Michael. You're getting up 7-1. You could be 8-0. Who knows? But you still feel like that defense might need some help. Well, you're in a position to be able to bring in some guys and be like, all right, now we're prepared to make a run.
Yep. Baseball-wise, guys, next year's season came out today, and we are going to have our earliest season opener, Major League history, March 25th, as the Giants will host the Yankees' earliest opening day other than American opening day or North American opening day other than the international games. Here are the other matchups we got on opening day, which will happen. Okay, so everyone's going off on opening day on the 25th. So we'll have Kansas City and Atlanta, Minnesota at Baltimore, Washington, the Nationals at the Cubs, Boston at Cincinnati, the Angels at Houston, Arizona at the Dodgers, Colorado at Miami, White Sox at the Brewers, Pirates at the Mets, Rangers at the Phillies, Rays at the Cardinals, Tigers at the Padres, Cleveland in Seattle, and the A's at Toronto. So that's our opening
I do
day
like those
matchups.
Tigers and the Padres.
A lot of AL versus NL there. There were a couple of same division games, but a lot of AL versus NL, which is something that they've incorporated with this new schedule a couple years ago, where everybody plays everybody throughout the season. Some people love it. Traditionalists hate it because the Red Sox and the Yankees don't get to play 32 times anymore or whatever it was. But I think it's cool getting everybody out there on opening day because obviously over the past couple of years we've seen some teams will play that first opening day, some teams will play day two. Get everybody out there. About it being earlier or not, I don't really have a problem with that. I think the more baseball, the better. They already play 162 games. If you want to start the season early, give the teams a little more rest throughout the season. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too. And the first thought that kind of crossed my mind was starting early is, all right, well, if you're starting early, what is that going to do with how you spread the games out? Are we getting into the territory where, until you really, the All-Star break is the only time that a team has more than one day off in a row. So are we going to lead into a scenario where you have a travel day, but then you also have that next day off? So like you play on your final series game is on a Sunday. Do you have Monday and Tuesday off, and then you start up another series on Wednesday? What's that going to look like?
I think that would be cool to incorporate that when you're going, like, say, a team from the West Coast, like the Padres, say, are going on an East Coast. Give them a day. Give them a day to travel, give them a day to rest, and then go on that tear, and then another day back home. But I think it's really good to spread the games out a little more. Maybe we'll see less injuries because I know that's been a big problem this year. With pitchers especially.
Braves.
Those last night.
Well, they've probably gotten almost the worst of it.
When
it comes to the injury bug.
The only other question I would have, and not to get into a deep conversation if we need to move on to something else, but if you do spread out the games and you do have to incorporate like double off days or something like that, the thing is that going to mess up the mojo? Is that going to mess up because obviously we all know sports people in general are creatures of habit, but especially baseball players.
Yes. Yep.
And is that going to mess up a situation where you're going hot? You've won 10 in a row. Let's say you had a 10-game win streak and you finally got into your travel day and then you have another off day. What's that going to do? Or is that momentum going to be able to carry into that third day where you finally get to play again, or does it crush it? And there's a lot of things that go into that, and that would be one of my concerns. Is I get being able to spread the games out. Maybe that could limit some injuries. I really hope so, because I think that would be good for the game. But what is that going to do with the overall mentality? Because, baseball players are used to, you get one off day, that's the travel, and then you're back at it. You don't have to sit around.
Well, we've seen an example of that this season just off the top of my head. The Red Sox went on a 10-game win streak into the All-Star break. And what did they do the first two games out? They laid an egg against the Cubs both times. Now, they have obviously gotten it back on track since then, but they started off really slow out of the break. And, that was just, 3 days off, 4 days off, and it turned a 10-win 10 wins in a row to 2 losses in a row.
You guys were talking about off days. I'm just reading this. Off days are built into the schedule to accommodate World Cup matches. Don't forget that's this coming
Yep, that's true.
Stadiums that share parking lots. So that would be Arlington, Texas, Kansas City, Seattle. Because of the off day, the Mariners will host the Red Sox. So there's going to be some built-in doubleheaders. And again, there's no special neutral site games scheduled yet. There might be Phillies Twins at the Field of Dreams. August 13th, 16th, they're slating that in there. And the Padres Diamondbacks look like they're going to play at Mexico City April 25th and 26th. So nothing, again, Bristol wasn't announced till what? November?
Something like that.
It was almost towards Christmas.
So, so we've got some fun stuff there. And we also, Cal Raleigh hit home run number 50, the first everyday catcher to hit 50. The Guardians have fallen off a cliff. They've been shut out in 3 straight games, lost 9 out of their last 10. Alex Baum is blaming Mikes for hitting a double play. The only thing that went wrong for the Phillies yesterday in New York, really strange. And then Wilson Contreras gets ejected on the pitch down the middle, which bye-bye, thank God you're not in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, it was a very interesting day in baseball. I loved the Alec Boehm thing, complaining about microphones in center field at Citi Field.
Yep.
And like we said before going on air, AJ, he's probably just mad that he's batting 206 in there with the 250 on-base percentage. There's some parks where guys just aren't good at. I don't see a point in throwing a fit in a game. You're already at that point in the game. It was over.
Getting destroyed.
So
absolutely. Well, guys, coming up next, we kind of hinted at it. I was giving them a little bit of heck, but we've got some big news in college football. SEC going to a 9-game schedule. We'll dive in that when we return.
Here at Fields and Brown Barbershop, legacy means a lot. We're trying to fill big shoes left by my 2 uncles and my grandfather, where every haircut came with conversation and every customer left a little taller than when they walked in. The barbershop is about pride. It's about knowing your barber knows your name and your story. Come see us at Fields and Brown Barbershop, where tradition never goes out of style. 3 generations, 1 legacy, your barbershop.
From our humble beginnings to today, Parks Lumber Company has continuously served Lawrence and surrounding counties for over a century. Although we started as a small lumber yard in 1896, we have grown to include everything you need to make your dream project come to life. No matter your building needs, our experienced staff will be with you every step of the way to ensure you receive the highest customer service and attention to detail you deserve. Visit us at 106 2nd Street or on Facebook. We guarantee you will see working with PLC is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled day to bring you breaking news out of Summertown, Tennessee, where a one-of-a-kind property has just hit the market and it's turning heads all over the region.
Reports confirm this is no ordinary home. We're talking about a stunning 16-acre estate featuring a modern ranch-style home with almost 3,000 square feet of single-level living space, meticulously designed for comfort and style. Sources say the property comes with its very own mother-in-law home and a 30 by 90 workshop that has an 800 square foot apartment.
In the center of it all is your own private resort, a sparkling pool surrounded by an awesome pool house, a place to unwind, to entertain, and to make every day feel like you're on vacation. Opportunities like this don't stay on the market very long, so for more information, contact Stacy Springer, 931-242-9263 before the story changes. This has been your breaking news real estate update. Now back to you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Overton, pastor of Mars Hill Baptist Church. And it's that time of year again where the hallways of the schools come alive with life. We love hearing the children go back, their laughter, their squeals, the excitement. And we want you to know at Mars Hill Baptist Church, we're praying for you as you start back to school. Whether you're in the kindergarten and starting your very first day, or whether this is your senior year, It's the last time you're going to walk the halls of that high school. We want you to know we're praying for you and we're supporting you. We're praying you have a great, productive year, a safe year, and when you come to the end of this school year, you look back and say, what a great year it's been. I also like to encourage you. We have a great children and student ministries at Mars Hill Baptist Church, and we'd love to come alongside you and help you grow in that area of your life as well. So as you begin this school year, begin knowing we're behind you, we support you, and we love you. God bless you. Have a great school year.
Nobody makes hauling more affordable than C&D Hauling. Serving southern Middle Tennessee and northern Alabama, they supply premium materials like asphalt, sand, gravel, and much more for whoever needs it, like contractors, builders, or homeowners. Call today for a free quote.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Welcome back to X Sports Today. Taylor Plott, Michael Marks, Hayden Burks. I'm AJ Good here, and guys, talking some college football. Some big news coming out this week. The SEC finally decides to be like everybody else for once, and it's going to go to a 9-game schedule. Obviously, kind of the dominoes that fell today. I was giving you some crap about it, but West Virginia and Alabama had that was part of it. West Virginia understood from Alabama's perspective, so not making them not having to buy out of the contract, letting them out, and they've already got replacements. West Virginia's got Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss, and Alabama got East Carolina on their schedule to kind of fill some things out there, but. It's everyone's joining, and what are you guys' thoughts here as everybody in the SEC embarks on what's going to be one heck of a 9-game schedule?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind was the Big Ten being the people that were complaining about it the most. Did a little research, was looking when everybody else adopted the 9-game conference schedule. You got to go back to 2006, the Pac-10. The old Pac-10 was the first conference to do it, and they did it so you could play everybody could play everybody else in the conference. Right. Then the Big 12 adopted it in 2011, and the Big 10 was the most recent to adopt it back in 2016, and they're the ones making all the noise about it. But other than that, if it works out how it looks like it is, I'm a huge fan of it because the way it's set up is you'll have 3 annual opponents, and then you will get to play a home and an away game versus every team in your conference within 4 years. Yeah, and I think that is awesome because when it was the 14-team SEC. Every team had a SEC West opponent, and then they would rotate that other team. So you would only play a home and away versus another team every, 12 years? Yeah. So
now you're getting it every 4 years.
Yeah, but now you're getting to play everybody, and I just think it's better for overall competitiveness in the conference because you're going to try to keep those big rivalries, but then you get to build a little one up, maybe like a Tennessee Auburn or an Arkansas and South Carolina, just little things like that you don't think of that could become interesting matchups down the road.
Yeah, first off, kudos to you because I know I was smirking because of all the laughter that was going on over there. You didn't break.
Ooh, that was tough.
I didn't know what that was.
Some real giggling,
some
cackling going.
Got some girls over there or something. No, I'm completely with you, and I feel like this is another step in the direction that the SEC needed to take. You had, for the longest time, you had the divisions, you had the East and the West, and yes, that's one thing that killed me, especially when Florida was really good, where it's like, I really wanted Bama to play Florida, but guess what? that was out of the rotation. You would either have Georgia one year, or then there was South Carolina. Obviously, we always had Tennessee, but you would always have that large rotation. So then they did away with the division. So now everybody's in that one pool. This is just the next step in that direction where you make it a 9-game conference schedule. I love the idea of being able to have that rotation where you can play each team, or every 4 years you at least get everybody in. I just feel like that was the next step in the direction. Obviously, other conferences have done that, so that just needed to happen.
Yeah, I'm glad the SEC fell in line with it, because I know, Michael, you and I, we were talking about, the 3 teams that each team would annually play, but then, every 2 years it switched from 6 teams to
the other 6.
Yeah, the other 6 teams. So then again, like you said, whenever you were in college back 10 years ago, you're not going to see every SEC team unless you were there for more than 6, 7, 8 years or something like that. Now, within in the span of how long you're going to be at the university, you're going to see them in your whole university, at your whole career at that university. So, I'm glad the SEC did that. It's a refresh a little bit, because like you said, with the divisions, you kept on seeing the teams every year, and then, seeing a different one that you probably wouldn't have seen now, or wouldn't have seen back then, you get to see them now. So I like that idea.
One of the things that I might be interested in tossing idea-wise for especially like SEC scheduling is, obviously you have your so-called, that's your locked-in rival. So for Bama, obviously it's Auburn. You're going to have LSU, and you're going to have Tennessee. And I feel like obviously every team needs to have those locked rivalries. That's a given. But one thing I would be interested in seeing, if they, just from a fan perspective, I think could be interesting, is think about, yes, you still consider like Alabama is playing Missouri. Okay, that's still an SEC rivalry. That's your conference rival. That's your opponent. What if you end up having, let's put Missouri up there again. Bama and Missouri, I think, had back-to-back SEC championship appearances or something like that.
Well, Missouri had back-to-back.
Missouri had
The
back-to-back.
Auburn team that made the national championship, and then they faced Alabama the next year.
But I knew that. Yeah, I knew Missouri had been in there back-to-back. So you had a stretch where Missouri had really, really good team, and when they played Alabama, those were some pretty good games. Maybe you could somehow morph something into, if you end up having a team that is like, okay, y'all are like putting fantastic performances together year in and year out now.
Switch out.
Maybe not necessarily switch out, but maybe be able to add like a temporary, okay, that's a temporary locked rival. Let's say Alabama and Florida.
Like a floating fourth.
Floating fourth. So like, let's say Alabama and Florida end up being like the 2 dominant teams in the SEC. And what if you add them as like a kind of temporary locked rival and just place it somewhere in the schedule? I feel like if you're wanting to make things interesting, have like a floating fourth or something.
So what are you got them up here?
So these aren't confirmed. These are just the predicted ones. But, I mean, they've kept most big rivalry games alive. Obviously, you keep the Iron Bowl. You keep the third Saturday in October. You get the Georgia-Florida rivalry. You're keeping the Red River Shootout. You're keeping the Southwest Classic between Texas A&M and Arkansas. So, I mean, most big rivalries are going to stay. Like, just a couple off the top of my head that I know we're losing, like Tennessee and Kentucky. That's a big one. But other than that, like maybe an Alabama Ole Miss that they've been pretty good rivals the past decade or so. So there are some little ones you're losing out on. But for the most part, I think 3 opponents gives you enough to have your 3 biggest rivals. I mean, you're not going to have a Tennessee Georgia every year, but I mean they kept the big ones. So I think they did a fair job with it.
Yeah.
I'm reading them myself here. I mean, you're never going to get it. That's why I think a floating fourth isn't like half bad, because I think for like maybe an Arkansas and Missouri, that we're in other conferences, like the old Big 8, the Southwest Conference. Arkansas having Missouri, Texas, and A&M. That's pretty good. Yeah. But I'm looking at Oklahoma. Why is Florida? They're locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that one.
That doesn't make much sense. I mean, again, this is unofficial, but I'm thinking, why is Oklahoma locked in? Florida's 3.
And I'm confused about the Mississippi State for Vanderbilt because Ole Miss and Vanderbilt are big rivals, not Mississippi State, so that's a bit of a strange one. But, I mean, you got to give everybody 3 permanent locked-in rivals. Some of these aren't going to be perfect, but...
Mississippi State and Kentucky were the West rivalry that played every year. So
Ole Miss and South Carolina, that one kind of raises an eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't, Kentucky makes sense. Missouri, I don't know.
It's almost as if
we're not going to get this right.
It's almost as if I don't know outside of. I just look at those and it's like, well, how many rivalries does Ole Miss have? Let's just put them out there. Well, obviously, Mississippi State's gonna be one of them. But you look outside of that, it's like
LSU's pretty good.
LSU's pretty good.
I would say they put some great games.
But what's that third? And you could put Alabama in there, but it's almost like they were like, well, we don't know who else they would want like a rivalry, so we could just randomly pick somebody.
Probably just say Georgia.
I think the problem with some of these is some of these good teams have so many rivalries, like Alabama. You don't have an Alabama A&M up there. Those have been, other than a couple of years, have been great games since A&M joined the SEC.
Yep.
And you don't get any more of that. Alabama, Arkansas. So you're losing some what would be some pretty big games, but obviously it's not like you're losing it and you're never going to get to play them. You'll get to play them every 2 years. I think they kept the ones that mattered, but there are some that it's going to be disappointing to not see them play every year. South Carolina and Georgia is a big one because they've played. I think barring
same time every year.
I think barring the past couple of years with the new SEC schedule, they played for like 120 something years in a row. So. Even little ones like that.
Yeah. Well, Bama, Mississippi State. I know, obviously, recently it hadn't been much of a thing, but that's the Battle of Highway 82.
Yeah,
right next to each other.
They got Tennessee's they're okay. You got to put Vandy on there. Who are Vandy's? Tennessee, South Carolina, and State.
No, that's Auburn
and Mississippi State.
And they did not do a good job coloring Auburn's logo on this.
They did not.
Did they keep Auburn, Georgia?
Yes.
Okay, they did.
I'm
about to say you had to keep
Auburn's
that one.
got a bunch. Georgia's got a bunch. Tennessee's got a bunch.
I'm just glad that Tennessee's not stuck in the same boat as Auburn anymore, and having to play Alabama and Georgia every year. Boy, for a while, I mean, there was a while where we went from Butch Jones to Jeremy Pruitt and our head coach, and we still had to play Alabama with Nick Saban and West Georgia with Kirby Smart.
Well, there was that good win you had that one time at Auburn. Lit up Auburn on. I remember it was like at noon. It didn't seem like
so that was a very weird game that just somehow the whole week I was like, we're gonna beat Auburn. Because there's always a game. There was always a game when he was in college where Jared Stidham would throw a couple picks, and I was like, that's gonna be Tennessee this year. And
I remember the place was half empty. I was watching in my apartment in Macon. My wife did not have a good sense. It's like, we're just going to get crushed today. And I was like, I don't know. This feels like a trap.
Because I think that was a ranked win, too.
It was,
I say they were like, what, 17th?
17 or 18, something around there?
Lost by like 15, 17.
Yeah, it was bad.
Obviously, guys, it's going to change things. It's going to be a tougher schedule. But I think when you look at it, 9 games for the SEC. Now, I think overall for the league, your top and your bottom are going to be even more separated. There's not going to be there's going to be a middle, but I think your very, very top, your middle, and your bottom are going to have the floors are going to be established.
And I think
it's going to help for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's similar to kind of what's happened with the Big Ten, and it wasn't as big of a problem before they added all the teams in the West Coast, but you get to the bottom and there's 2 or 3 teams that don't have a conference win. You get to the top and there's usually 3 or 4 teams that only have 1 conference loss. So it does separate the top and the bottom a lot better. You get a better feel for how good these teams really are. Because I didn't really think going to 9 conference games would have been a big deal, but you go from seeing let's say Tennessee playing Western Carolina versus Tennessee playing Auburn. And while that may not look like much, that helps a lot when it comes to evaluating the playoff. I think it's going to help them a lot more because now with everybody but the ACC going to 9 conference games, it kind of levels the playing field in that scheme.
I think so too. The one thing I can hear non-SEC critics say is, "Oh well, this is just going to make their strength of schedule even like way more." So. And I get that.
You're playing more good teams.
That's the purpose, but obviously they're going to be like, well, we need more Big Ten teams or ACC teams in the playoff and everything. It's like, well, now you're going to end up having, gobs of SEC teams because, well, I'm sorry, but the SEC is the best conference still in the nation.
Right.
They're going to have that weighted more because they're all going to have huge strength of schedules.
And I'm going to say something that's probably going to make a lot of people, maybe not at this table mad, but just in the grand scheme of things, there are years where the 7th or 8th best SEC team is probably going to be better than the Group of 5 team that makes it.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I mean, it's probably the case now.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Because you look at those first 3 SEC teams out from last year.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, who won their bowl game against an ACC team by like 1,000.
Yep.
Alabama, who obviously we saw how that bowl game went, but they had a bunch of players sitting out. South Carolina, the same thing.
Yep.
Those first 3 teams out of the playoff, all SEC teams, and I think all would have done what Penn State, or maybe worse, what Penn State did to Boise.
Yeah.
Well, coming up next, guys, it's time for Trivia Tuesday. Not only do I have questions for them, they say they got a question for me. I'm excited about that. We'll have that when we return.
Back to school equals back to big savings at Heritage Automotive in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Score 0% financing on select models and up to $15,000 off MSRP on new 1,500 trucks. Over 150 used vehicles, all priced to move and below market value. Need service? Our expert team is ready, and we've got loaner vehicles to keep you moving while we work. Hurry into Heritage Automotive, where the deals are hot and the savings are huge.
Heritage Automotive. Expect more, experience the difference.
When it's time to build a home, remodel, or add on, Hamby Builders is this area's experienced construction company. From site selections to floors, doors, windows, trim, tile, bathrooms, and kitchen, the Hamby Builders team can make your home the home of your dreams. Hamby Builders is licensed and insured with over 20 years of experience in homes in Giles, Lawrence, Wayne, and Murray counties. Trust your home construction or light commercial project to the team with experience and integrity. Hamby Builders. Call 931-629-5264 or 931-629-9472 today.
Going the distance for local sports. This is X Sports Today.
Back here on X Sports Today, AJ Goodwin, Taylor Plott, Michael Marks, Hayden Burks. It's time for Trivia Tuesday, so I've got a NASCAR and a baseball question, and I'll let you guys ask the next question. So we'll start with the NASCAR first. Hayden's been begging for one. I gave him one on one of the Trivia Tuesdays. Okay, Hayden. Give me, all I have are 5 here, so give me the top 5 most second place finishes in NASCAR history.
Oh.
Kevin Harvick.
No.
Jeff Gordon.
Number 4, 74 second place finishes.
Okay, so we're going to have to go with big name guys.
Are these more recent or older?
None of them are racing anymore.
Okay. Is Jimmy Johnson on here?
No.
Richard Petty.
Number 1, 157 second place.
Wow. He and David Pearson would always go back and forth.
David Pearson is tied for second with 88 second place finishes.
Kelly Yarborough?
No.
What about Earnhardt?
Number 5, 70. So you're missing the other one tied for second.
Kyle Busch?
No.
Okay.
Again, not racing.
Yeah, not racing anymore. Okay. I said Kevin Harvick. Bobby Allison.
Number 2.
Wow.
88 second place finishes.
And see, the thing is, you think of, in my mind immediately went second place. Okay, so who are some, kind of like middle of the ground guys? And it's these really good guys that just race for forever.
The one question I have, and I was almost about to say this, but then I remembered you said, all right, they're not currently racing, is what about Brad Keselowski? I feel like he's one that when he retires, he might be up there on that list because I feel like he's always up towards the top.
Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
Denny was the first guy that came to my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard Petty had 150. But again, racing
for forever.
Racing was way different.
Racing in the 60s and 70s, you had about 2 or 3 really good cars, and just the rest of the pack.
Everybody, it's like, who was it this Sunday? Weren't they like 15th with like 5 to go and they won or something?
Ryan Blaney. Yeah, he was 16th, and he went on the outside at Daytona.
Yeah, wow. You get that push, and everyone bunches up, and boom, you go.
Especially with those super speedways.
And it's crazy just in the last 15, 20 years, the talent level, how much it's gone up from I mean, obviously you don't have as many iconic names anymore, but man, the quality of the racing is crazy high.
All right, guys, here's the baseball question. There are 2 players in Major League history who have won an MVP, a home run derby, and have 9 or more Gold Gloves.
Well, one of them has got to be Ken Griffey Jr.
He is one of them.
Okay, an MVP and a home run derby. And you said 7?
9 plus.
Okay, so I don't know if he ever won an MVP, but it's not going to be Mark McGwire.
No.
How recent?
Oh, he played in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, okay.
He did not make it to the 2000s.
Okay.
But he was playing in the early 80s, too.
Okay, so he didn't make it to the 2000s, because I was going to say Mike Piazza, but I don't think he ever won an MVP. Is that it? Is it Mike Piazza?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he won 9 or more Gold Gloves.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
Oh my gosh.
Is it Ron Sandberg?
It is Ryan
Wow.
Sandberg.
Okay.
I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, who's good at defense and hits a lot of home runs? So I was going through positions.
The last time the All-Star game was at Wrigley Field, Sandberg won the home run derby in 1990.
Wow.
So
coming back in 2 years, so
yeah,
because it's in Philly this year, which the home run derby would be a lot of fun there.
Oh yeah,
Philly won't be fun, but the home run derby will be a lot of fun. Okay, all right, guys.
All right, so
I'll let Michael do this one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, of course it goes. Of course it goes
They
away.
were doing this while I was in the bathroom for an extended
this
period of time.
was what we were talking about this morning. I know you hadn't been brought into the conversation, so this. Let me just say this: the initial one that he's about to say, you're probably gonna be like, "Well,
this is the
dumbest thing ever." But then we have like a twist on it that might actually make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Twitter at Real Tommy Morris. Don't mean to call him out for this idea. College football postseason idea. Move any bowl game that isn't a playoff game to week 0 of the next year. Week 0 then becomes all neutral site games and is a privilege to play for teams that were bowl eligible the year before. This would effectively eliminate bowl games with sit-outs. So now you get to look at a possible week 0 slate that has Iowa State, Miami, Alabama, Michigan, BYU, Colorado, and USC, Texas A&M.
And my initial thought was, well, that's dumb because you're
rewarding last year's team. Or this year's team for what the last year's team did.
So here's the twist, and this is where where the question then comes, is, all right, if you're wanting to make week 0 a thing, then why not do the same thing that happens in basketball? And the NBA has that now with the in-season tournament. I'm not saying we make like a week 0 playoff or something like that, but if you're wanting to, instead of doing the bowl games from the previous year, make them not necessarily the same bowls, but have like a week 0 bowl matchup where you have like maybe 10 games, where you have at the Cotton Bowl, AT&T Stadium, have like a so-called week 0 bowl, and you have those like Miami and like Notre Dame or something, or have bigger matchups.
And you could do it even with like teams that are, because obviously now we don't get the hypothetical or the stereotypical Rose Bowl every year. You're not going to get it because obviously the Pac-12 is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
But, you could throw UCLA and Ohio State, maybe a conference game.
Yeah.
Throw these teams together for like a preseason, like a group of like the New Year's Six type of scenario. Throw preseason projected good teams in there, and you finally get to see who's good early in the season.
So you're saying keep the bowls,
yes,
but do it in week 0, but
have like a preseason tournament.
Have them fill it,
so to speak.
Have them fill it with who they want to bring in, but it's got to have like a conference affiliation, is what you're saying.
You could. The thing I was thinking of was, don't mess with the bowl games they are now. That team earned that bowl, you play that bowl. But when you go to week 0, you end up having so-called just week 0 bowl games or something where there might not be, it's not the same team from last year, but you just have basically like a glorified kickoff game. Basically, it's kind of what I'm getting at.
So I like the idea of it, and I like it. Okay, you earn, so we keep the playoff. And
Yes.
you earn the bowl game that you so basically, you get 12 games.
Yep.
Everyone's got to just schedule, because everyone's at 9 conference games. You
Yeah.
got to schedule 2 non-conference.
Yeah.
We'll handle week 0.
Yeah.
Then everyone gets a week off, or if they
Yes.
want to play week 1, they can.
Yeah.
I would propose to get a week off
Yeah.
because everyone's going to neutral sites, and then so you play those bowl games, where I'm trying to I'm looking at it from a logistical standpoint. What do you do with the teams that made the playoff, and what do you do with the teams that didn't make a bowl game? Do you have them? Because if we're going to do it that way, everyone needs to play week 0.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's tough because there's only
Yeah.
so many bowl games, obviously. But we were thinking of just like those bigger bowl games and like hosting maybe a preseason matchup to kind of get you hyped up for the season.
Like, honestly, I would think it would be
Kind of week 0, but instead of sending teams to Dublin, you send them to Miami at the Orange Bowl, or you send them out to Arizona to the Fiesta Bowl.
Well, I would keep all the bowl games because you do have okay, we can have some group of 5 eliminators because you have conference champions.
Right.
Yes.
That play each other, which the bowls are kind of getting back to, which I like. You can have almost like de facto group of 5 championship games.
Yeah.
And I like the way you have those big matchups there in week 0, and those are playoff eliminators.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on, this SEC, you're going to play 9 SEC games. But if you're, say, a Tennessee and you're slated to play Kansas State or you've Iowa State or somebody that was top 2 in the Big 12 or maybe won the Big 12 and got eliminated or whatever the case may be, and you beat them, well, that's a heck of a mark.
Yeah.
And that kind of that skates that other team that's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, you're going to have to win your conference just to get in.
Yeah.
Off to the side. So I'm just looking at it from a logistical standpoint of, okay, well, what do we do with the playoff teams?
Yeah.
Because they need someone to play. Do you mix and match that bunch? And then what do you do with everybody else? Like, I think everybody needs to play if that would be the case.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone needs a neutral site game because that, again, would be a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
But I just think it would be really cool if you come into week 1 and we're like, okay, we have Alabama and Penn State playing for the Sugar Bowl season opener or whatever.
I just got an idea.
What?
Oh.
Okay. So
Here we go.
you take all the teams that didn't make bowl games and you send them, you match them up somehow, whether it's like AI generated or someone picks them up and you do like double headers.
Ooh.
So like, okay, so like you go like the Citrus Bowl. Okay, well, most of these places have turf, and the way they do these fields are great nowadays. Okay, hypothetically, say MTSU doesn't make a bowl game, and then okay, you match them up with Kent State. Well, they will play at noon. Bama and Michigan will play at 7. And then you got a double header, and you can stack them on top of each other. So everyone gets a neutral site game,
and this would even give some of the
money.
Yeah.
You're
give or take.
Give or take, you're saving money in a way, and you can get a lot of money. You can get a lot of people in these areas. You get not just 2 fan bases, 4 fan bases. More than likely, they'll all show up because bowl games are decreasing in popularity at this point. So you bring them all in. You get 4 fan bases into one place, and who's to say Michigan and Bama fans won't come watch because they're bored or they're tailgating.
Well, hey, we're already here. Let's go ahead and watch Kent State and MTSU.
And you go back to where, for the longest time, and this is where I feel like this is where that's going. And when I say bowl game, you can get a trophy or something at the end. That's fine. But I'm thinking of when we had like the Chick-fil-A kickoff.
Yes.
And that was like Georgia and like Oklahoma when they're in the Big 12.
We've got 2 of those this year.
Yeah.
And they're both in Atlanta. They're both playing at noon. Well, why can't you have USF and Marshall right after that?
Yes.
Or say like if Georgia Tech didn't make a bowl game, like Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt.
Right.
Play right after on Sunday. I mean, think about that. It's 4 games. You get 8 fan bases all into the city.
And it's a great idea.
Yeah, and you're able
because obviously, like you mentioned with the fields, it's not a dirt field anymore. It's
Right.
not going to be torn up after game 1 and need to be completely redone. No, I mean it's good to go as soon as you go.
Or you got old Turner Field just right down. Let's say if it's Georgia State or Georgia State, the Sun Belt says, okay, all the teams that didn't make bowl games, you got conference games.
Yep.
And we're going to play them on top of everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of, how logistically you can make it work. The only way you could really make that, if you're going to move all of that to week 0, is everyone's got to play, and you got to find a way to make them play. My biggest issue would be, I love the idea. The more I've thought about it, because you're going to get some interesting matchups. In that week 0, and you're going to have some de facto playoff eliminators, or and then not only just for the group of 5, but let's say it's a group of 5 team that's playing a Power 4 team in a bowl game, like in Las Vegas. They're playing in the Vegas Bowl. And it's Colorado State upsets an Oregon. Well, shoot, that's a feather in the cap. For Colorado State in a game that they didn't have previously scheduled. So you do reward them for what they did the year before. You keep the opt-outs out of bowl games. You put more focus on the playoff, and you've got a whole slate of games right off the get-go that look really enticing, and that does take strain off of these athletic departments and trying to find a way to schedule games.
And you actually have week 0 to mean something, where it's like you're not just looking forward to, like the only matchup I think we could look forward to was the Iowa State and Kansas State.
But that was the one game at noon, and after that,
And there was
unless you were a diehard college football fan, you probably weren't turning on Fresno State versus Kansas or Idaho State versus UNLV.
And then you look at the week 0 idea. It's like, all right, well now you have Iowa State and say Kansas State, but then you have Oregon facing, let's say, Georgia, or you have Ohio State facing USC, and it's like you have the afternoon slate and then you have the evening slate, and you're just filled up with great football.
Or playoff wise, like say going back to the Atlanta example, if you want to make the Chick-fil-A kickoff is going to be huge, you're going to have one of the 2 bowl. You're going to have 2 bowl matchups there, and then we're going to take 4 playoff teams from a year ago. They're going to have the nightcap. The other games are going to be the first game of the other. Like say
I love that,
because I think it's a good way to
Clemson Penn State's going to be the nightcap Saturday. Georgia Texas. No, that doesn't make that's a league game.
Georgia Arizona State.
Georgia Arizona State's going to be the nightcap on Sunday.
And I think that's awesome.
I think it's great.
Because I think it entices more people for week 1, because I think a lot of people are tired of seeing Central Arkansas and Missouri playing on a Thursday night on week 1. The Auburn-Baylor is a great game, but then you got now Toledo may have upset Kentucky, but that's not one that everybody's going to be watching. If you had Kentucky facing Kansas in that football game, I mean, that would be a huge way to and then you could put that in Lucas Oil in Indianapolis, where you got huge basketball fan base. Boom.
I think just down the road, Tennessee played Virginia there a couple of years ago, but what do you think? That's a Music City Bowl.
Oh,
and then you got it week 0 opening week, and then you can,
and with it being one of those new futuristic stadiums, that's going to give it a big game feel.
And then maybe it's MTSU and Akron play before that or play right after. I'm just trying. I'm just trying to logistically
that makes
make
sense completely.
So
and then and then Tennessee and Louisville is like the nightcap.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
do an FCS game Sunday morning, and then a big game Sunday night.
Now you're talking.
There we go.
Friday night FCS games, Thursday night Division 2, Division 3.
Let's do it.
Some crossovers. I mean, you could. Really,
okay, we're gonna work with the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, really.
Or Nashville.
Get this going.
Play at Vandy. It's not like they play football over there, anyways. All right, guys. So that will do it for Exports today. So for Taylor Plott, Michael Marks, Hayden Burks, I'm AJ Good. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Going the distance for local sports. This is Exports Today.